Yeah, it's Mindset Café, we all about that mindset. Gotta stay focused, never settle for less. It's all in your head, how you think you manifest. So get ready to rise, cause we about to be the best. Gotta switch it up, gotta break the old habits. Get your mind right, turn your dreams into habits. No negative vibes, only positive.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin Gonzalez, and today I wanted to kind of explore this metaphor about the cow's mindset and the buffalo's mindset. I know I've mentioned it before on social media and stuff like that, and maybe you've heard it before, but there's this metaphor people use about cows and buffaloes, and when it comes to a storm, you know, cows try to run away from it, and because of that, they run in the same direction as the storm is moving, right? They stay in the storm longer, right? Where buffaloes, on the other hand, run towards the storm. They go straight towards it. And because of that, they go through the storm, it gets worse, but then they get through it faster, right? And whether that's just perfect animal science or just a powerful metaphor, the lesson is still the same, right? Most people stay in pain longer because they keep running away from what they need to face, right? Avoidance does not remove the storm that you are in. It just extends it, right? So breaking it down, the cow mindset, right? It's not that it's laziness all the time. Sometimes it looks like, you know, it looks responsible. It looks like, you know, you're doing the things that you need to do. And sometimes it maybe even sounds logical to you at the time, but a lot of the times it comes off as like, I'll deal with it later, right? What the cow mindset looks like is you avoiding the hard conversation, ignoring the bank account problems, skipping the workouts, looking at the numbers, right? Avoiding stepping on the scale, delaying that hard decision or big decision, pretending that the problem isn't that bad, right? The cow mindset keeps moving, but not towards the solution, right? So you're moving and you're progressing in a direction, but the direction is not the direction of the solution or for you solving the problem, right? On the other hand, the buffalo mindset, it's different, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you enjoy the storm or you enjoy the sucky part or the hard parts or anything like that. It does not mean that you're fearless or anything of that nature. It just means that you stop pretending that there is a storm and that the storm is going to disappear if you just avoid it long enough, right? The buffalo mindset says that, look, let me just handle the problem early. Let me just, face the truth quickly. Let me just make the call, check the numbers, start the workout, have the conversation, right? Let me take the hit now so it doesn't get worse, right? The buffalo mindset is not about being fearless. It's just about being honest fast and knowing that avoidance doesn't solve anything. It usually makes things worse. Having that tough conversation, let's say, it doesn't get easier having the conversation later. It actually starts to build up because the fear starts to build up. The pressure starts to build up of having the conversation. The pressure of you thinking about the conversation builds up, right? It's almost like when you're a kid and you, let's say, you're on a little hill and, your friends are jumping off, or let's say you're jumping into the deep end of the pool and you're scared to jump, right? And so you wait there and you're sitting on the edge, and it doesn't get easier to make the jump. The longer you wait, the jump gets harder. It gets scarier, right? It gets tougher to do. But if you would have just got to the ledge and just jumped fast and not thought about it, right, it's easier. Same thing with this, right? The buffalo mindset is, look, there's a problem. Let's just solve it. It's going to suck. It's going to be tough. It is what it is. Let's get through it, right? Avoidance feels easier at first, and that's why people avoid things, because in the moment, avoidance feels like relief. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to check it, so I'm not going to stress about it right now. I'll stress about it later. But at the end of the day, the problem is still there, right? Avoidance gives you relief in the moment, but there's interest that's tacked on later, right? The storm gets bigger when you ignore it. Most storms don't shrink because you're avoiding them or ignoring them. They usually grow, right? Money problems becoming bigger debt, fitness problems becoming health problems, small marriage issues become big marriage issues or even divorce. Missed, phone sales calls become all of a sudden business crises, bad habits become an identity, and so forth, right? What you avoid usually becomes more expensive, not always financially, but meaning cost in the long term, right? Fitness, for example. In fitness, the storm is usually like the workout that you keep negotiating with, right? And try to avoid. People don't wait to feel motivated, or people that wait to feel motivated, right? They wait until life slows down. They wait until Monday. They wait until they feel ready. But the body is still changing that entire time. And so if you would have started now versus in a month, maybe you wouldn't have added that extra 5 pounds to you that you now need to lose. If you would have started last year versus this year, or this year versus next year, maybe you wouldn't have that extra 20 pounds that you need to lose. Maybe you wouldn't have back issues because you didn't have the muscle to support it, right? In stability to support your body as you're just doing your daily activities, right? You don't need to feel like training or working out. You just need to start. 5 minutes in, your body usually starts catching up with you and you're like, okay, this isn't that bad, right? The work you avoid becomes the body you complain about now. The workout that you've avoided until now is why you're complaining about where you are now, right? In business, for example, the storm, let's say, might be the numbers. You don't want to look at them, right? You don't want to look at the leads coming in, the sales calls going out, the revenue, expenses, your follow-up rates, your close rates, whatever. A lot of entrepreneurs stay busy because busy feels productive or feels better than being honest of where you are in reality, right? And busy is not always productive. Busy is sometimes just avoidance with the calendar, right? Let's say relationships, for example. The storm might be the conversation that you keep avoiding, right? You feel the tension. They feel the tension. Everybody knows something's off, but nobody wants to talk about it. So it gets heavier, more tension. And that doesn't just alleviate out of nowhere. So the truth is, the hard conversation now can prevent a bigger fracture later. What you refuse to say today usually becomes harder to say tomorrow. So I'll give you one more mindset example, right? The storm is usually the truth that you already know, right? The storm with your mindset is usually the truth that you already know. You know you're off track. You know you're making excuses. You know you're blaming things you could actually change. You know you need more structure. You know your circle of friends is affecting you. You know your standards have slipped. The problem is not that you don't know or don't know how to fix them. The problem is that you keep trying to unknow it. You keep trying to act like you don't know what the solution is. You cannot grow past the truth that you keep avoiding. The longer that you run, the weaker or heavier you will feel, right? The dangerous part about avoidance is it just delays the problem, but it also lowers your confidence. Your confidence to find the solution or to achieve the solution, right? Every time you avoid the storm, you're teaching yourself subconsciously that you can't handle the storm. And it matters because now the problem is not just the problem. Now you also have to fight the story that you are not strong enough to face the problem. Avoidance trains fear. Action trains your confidence, right? Running towards the storm does not mean being reckless either. I just want to be clear. Running towards the storm does not mean you move stupid, right? It does not mean you react emotionally. It does not mean that you blow off everything just to face the storm. It's not reckless. You need to be strategic. You have to face reality, make a plan, and take that hard step. The Buffalo mindset is not about panic. It's just about decisive actions, right? The first step is usually the hardest. Most of the time, the storm feels worse before you take the first step. Before that workout, it feels huge, right? Before the call, it maybe feels huge and scary. Before the conversation, the tension feels, unbearable. But once you start facing the storm starts to get smaller because you're moving through it. The storm loses power when you're moving through it. When you stop standing still and are actively going through the storm, there's a light at the end of it, right? So I just want to make this, break it down simply for you, right? Here's a little game plan for facing your storm, right? Name the storm. What are you avoiding, right? Is it the workout, like starting workouts? Is it your numbers in your business? Is it a conversation? Is it a decision? Is it a truth, right? So name your storm. Step 2 is going to be shrink that first move. Don't overcomplicate it, right? Make the call. Open a spreadsheet. Put your shoes in your bag, right? Send the text, book the appointment, whatever the case may be, but just make the first step small and don't overcomplicate it. Third step is take that step within 24 hours. Don't let it sit too long. So you shrink the first move and you plan to accomplish it within 24 hours. The longer it sits, the more powerful the storm gets, right? Name it, shrink it, move. Again, name it, shrink it, move. Choose the short pain over the long pain. Easiest way to think about like the cow versus the buffalo is short pain, long pain, right? This comes down to short pain, long pain. When you think about, let's say a workout, short pain is the workout. Long pain is hating how you feel about your body and avoiding the workouts. Short pain in business, make that first call, that first sales call. Long pain is the financial pressure. Relationship, short pain, hard conversation. Long pain, resentment, right? And see where I'm getting with this? Mindset. Short pain, checking the truth, right? Checking, being honest with yourself, knowing what the problem is. Long pain is living in denial. You can choose your pain. You can choose the pain of facing it now or carrying it for longer. It's your call. So I know today's episode is a little shorter and sweet, but I don't want to lose the message in a 20 or 30 minute episode. So I want to keep it short and sweet, and hopefully this helps you guys. So my challenge for you is this week, pick one storm you've been running from, right? Not 10, not every problem that's going on in your life. Pick one storm for this week, right? Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your money, your business, your marriage, your calendar, your discipline, whatever the case is. Name that one storm. Take direction and take action within 24 hours. Not someday, not Monday, not when you're ready, within 24 hours, right? Name it, shrink it, move, right? The storm is going to come either way. I just want you to know that. The storm is coming either way. The question is whether you are going to keep running until you finally get so exhausted that the storm just runs over you, or are you finally going to turn around and just be like, let's get this over with? So I hope that helps. I hope you name your storm. I hope you name it, you shrink it, and you move. And you can get through that storm a little faster this week. All right? I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you guys crush the storm. I appreciate you guys. Love y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one.
No negative vibes, only positive thoughts. Just in the game of life, mindset causes shots. Got my mind on the prize, I can't be distracted. I stay on my grind, no time to